Hello again, and welcome back to this fourth in a four-parter, we hope. Well, I hope. I don't know about you, but anyway. In the D&D comparison. Yes. Now then, bearing in mind at this point that 3rd edition D&D has been sort of in circulation for a hell of a lot longer than 4th. And there's a hell of a lot of books on the market. And there must be at least 5 monster manuals, if not a few more. I don't know. I think there are about 5. You know, sort of going around. There's Player Handbook 2. There's the Complete Adventurer, Complete Warrior, Complete Mage, Complete Arcane, Races of the Wild. God, there are a lot of books for 3rd edition. 4th edition, I think we basically have the core books. We've got Faerun. We've got Everon, which are 2 campaign settings. I'm not sure about much else because, to be honest, I haven't been really keeping up to date. Now, the thing in sort of D&D is the character customization. Now, you generally have a base pool of numbers to use as your stats, or you can roll them. That's fine. Where your characters are really customized is in the skills they can use, in the feats they carry. Now, feats are a lot like edges from something like Savage Worlds, like, for instance, Cleave. If you kill something, then you then get a free hit on something else. Goes without saying, you know, all this sort of stuff. Sort of Empower Spell, Maximize Magic. I think that's the same one that I've just used the wrong word for. Whatever, Silent Casting, Combat Casting, blah, 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 all this stuff. Ambidexterity, whatever. And also, and the really big point is that in every edition, no, nearly every edition of D&D, up until 3.5, is the fact that, you know, I could take my fighter, and if I really wanted to be stupid, maybe it's not stupid, maybe this would actually work, who knows, but if I really wanted to be a bit daft with it, then I could actually multiclass him into a mage, say. So then my fighter gains some magical abilities. Now, what's the penalty? The penalty is, if you multiclass a character, then the fighter will then no longer gain his high-level abilities, because you've actually basically just sort of whipped off a level of experience that he would have used to become a mage. So there's a huge risk-reward system involved here. Now, the way now to actually encourage people to multiclass, 3.5 and whatnot, and the ones before it, had this unique thing called prestige classes. Now, prestige classes were sort of what you would call, they were perfect amalgamations of multi-classes. So, in other words, for instance, Arcane Archer, just off the top of my head, you need to have a base D6. You need to have a base attack of 6. You need to have an arcane spellcasting background, and I think was that it? Did you need archery? I don't know, but the point is that essentially, if I took something, say a sorcerer or a mage, and a bit of the and sort of a ranger class, for instance, then I could multiclass into Arcane Archer, which had its own sort of unique abilities and special powers and whatnot that more than make up for the fact that I've actually just basically ruined my level, you know, ruined the other classes' chances at leveling up to their maximum sort of benefit. Now, here is one of my major gripes with 4th. This is a double-edged sword. 3.5 almost has too much choice. Some of the choices it offers are frankly game-breaking. As I said, the GM will have to veto some of it. Others will not give you the most. You know, a drunken boxer, for instance, is a monk prestige class. However, it won't give you the drunken brawler. It won't give you like. If I were to take my monk up to level 20, the level 20 monk could be more powerful than my drunken brawler taken up to an equivalent level. But the fact is, it's just fun. It's just flavour. That's great. Now, 4th is a bit different. 4th, the actual character creation rules are, to me, limiting. To others, great. In 4th, essentially, down the character creation side of the book, there we go. And yes, it has got a little dark in here, but my camera seems to be making up for it. Basically, here we go. Yeah. It gives you a load of skills and abilities. You can't really see this very well. Now, anybody who's played 4th will understand exactly what I'm going on about. It gives you a list of abilities that you choose from to create your base power pools. There are also very, very few feats that actually have anything to do with any specific class. And now, example, I made a cleric, right? Then somebody else made a cleric, and that somebody else's wife made a cleric. The clerics that we made, despite the fact that it's basically it's a 2-branch ability tree essentially, because for instance, cleric space stats off the top of my head, let's go with wisdom, in other words, and I don't know, charisma. Now you can either build a cleric on wisdom or charisma to maximise his power advantage. And yes, I'm talking a bit about power gaming now, but right, and essentially this other bloke and his wife managed to create, without knowing what the others were actually doing, the exact same cleric with the exact same power pool and the exact same feats. You know, I mean, just give me the fucking character. If that's the one that's obviously going to be of use, then I don't like that at all. Now, the benefit of this whole thing is that in D&D 3.5, it would happen that a lot of the classes were not balanced with each other. For instance, a level 1 to level 8 wizard, for instance, didn't have a lot to do, because he was a bit, frankly, pap with the spells, and he couldn't cast very many. So he was a bit of a one-shot wonder. If that's if he actually could one-shot things. Now, in D&D 4th, it changes this because, going back to the third analogy, the fighter would be your mainstay in the front of combat, he'd be doing all the killing. Later on, the wizard would be smiting everything as your Batman character, because he could literally prepare for any challenge and then kick the shit out of it, unless it was anything to do with the Beholder's Gaze and anti-magic fields, in which case he was fooked. D&D 4th, essentially, sorts this whole problem out because it balances the starting characters and your abilities and whatnot fantastically. In that regard, 4th is awesome because, in actual fact, everybody's got an equal role in a party and everybody's just as valid as everybody else. Like I said, the cost is the cost of customization. Now, again, multiclassing in 4th is a completely different issue, because all you do is you take the multiclassing feat, and all that happens is you say, I take the multiclassing feat, I've got a base intelligence of 13, I can take one, I can substitute one of my current level powers for a power from a wizard. And you know, it was a case of you're not actually multiclassing at all, you're just sort of gaining the excuse to gain skills from another class. And in all honesty, just save 1 or 2 combinations, it's completely not worth it at all. As I said, the feats are not in it. Obviously, I'm going to have to come to magical items and whatnot in a moment. The feats are not in it. You know, there are new classes being added, but essentially, although from certain aesthetic differences, yeah, they're basically exactly the same. So, like I said, for me personally, I will take the 3.5 customization options any day, despite the fact that, yes, it can be effective and more complicated. I personally really, really don't like to be made to play, and this is how it feels to me. I don't want to play an MMO on a tabletop, and that's how the character customization feels in here. I don't like that at all. It's really, as I say, for me personally, I just find it crap. Just for that reason. Just because I like the variation, I like to experiment, I like to have a bit of fun with my characters, I like to roleplay them, be a bit, you know, have random sort of backgrounds and whatnot. You know, like I say, this is just purely personal taste. I know for a fact a lot of people love the balancing. I know for a fact a lot of people love the fact that it isn't so choice-based and they can just basically get right into the game. That's fine. Anyway, I shall be right back. I shall conclude this now 5-parter with a bit of a babble about. I'm sorry, I am babbling today. Do excuse me, like I say, with a bit of babble about the magical items and that sort of stuff in general. I'll be right back. Cheers.